All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the eBay shop. My name's Corey.
I'm Teresa.
And today we're going to talk about getting a steady, predictable, reliable paycheck from eBay, or is that even possible? Spoiler alert, it is possible.
It is.
But as usual, we do have some things going out. We've already got like 3 bags in the truck from the dollar auction sales this Friday.
Yeah, and there's only, what did I say? There's only 10 packages for like 50 items.
Yep. So we've got more to pack yet. So what's the first one of those going out?
We sold a bracelet. This is one that I picked up. I think I picked it up at that one garage sale or church sale and didn't realize it was 925, or it's not 925, it's 950. It is a Melor sterling silver 950 hinged magnetic closure oval bracelet.
Is it magnetic? It's got a hinge.
No, I think it's there's magnets in there too.
Okay, well that's what it looks like. It's just a silver bracelet.
It is. It's very generic.
And that goes for how much?
$49.99 plus shipping.
All right, next we have some Godinger candle holders.
Godinger.
Godinger?
That's how I say it. But
that's what they look like. They're big candle holders.
they came from our hoarder house that we went to during Plains Profit.
Yep.
Those are Godinger, however, silver-plated silver candlesticks. They have crystal lotus on the top. They are brand new. They're still sealed, like the plastic is still sealed around the candles. But those sold for $49.99. I see a trend going here.
That's a good trend. We'll take it.
$49.99.
All right, I think the first step of figuring out whether you can get a steady, reliable paycheck from eBay, which you definitely can, is to understand at what point eBay becomes predictable.
Yes. Big thing is, and it's something I preach to people every time they say, oh my gosh, eBay's so in the hole. That sounded so bad. That sounded so bad. But everybody looks at, your day-to-day, your week-to-week. You can't base predictability for us. You can't base it off of this week versus next week.
Now, I think we hear it a lot in the community and at large that eBay is a roller coaster. We've said it several times, and it is a roller coaster. But there's something about a roller coaster. It always starts and stops at the same point. It is predictable, even though it's got a lot of ups and downs. And eBay is very much the same way. At a week or a day or a month, eBay is unpredictable as the roller coaster.
Yeah, because you can be getting $100 today and you can get $500 or $600 tomorrow.
Or none the next day.
That's true.
But over a 90-day period, in the past 4 years for us, over a 90-day period, our eBay is predictable as clockwork.
It is.
Like it is almost, like our paychecks do not vary very much at all if you're looking at them at a 90-day period. So we know maybe at 60 days it's getting a little predictable, but at 90 days,
it's 100%.
For us, it's like clockwork. Our paychecks are within 1% every single 90-day period for 4 years.
Yep.
And they don't really vary. So knowing that at 90 days it's predictable, we can base our steady paycheck kind of based off that 90-day period. And then we just have to average it out.
Yep, because like we said before, your sales are hit and miss in the week or in the day. But if you do that 90 days, ours is there.
Take your 90-day total, divide it by 90. You've got your daily average, and it is a very predictable, steady average. So it is very predictable. Now, does that get you the paycheck you want? I don't know. We'll talk more about that and how to get it where you want it to be. But it is very predictable at the 90-day mark. So I think you have to base it off of that in order to build a steady, reliable paycheck. And that's kind of what we've done.
Yep.
So, all right, let's look at what sold next.
We sold a hook. That's so funny.
We sold the hook.
We sold the hook.
The hook.
It is a Power Probe PPH1, the Hook Ultimate Circuit Tester with case, and it is working.
Yep. So it's like a power probe tester thinger.
Power probe tester. Don't ask me what it does. I just know it powers on and it tests current.
It tells you if you're going to get a zap or not.
But that was one that Corey walked past at a garage sale. It was like one of the last garage sales. That's that garage sale that had that creepy concrete lady out in the chair.
It is, yeah. It was like a mannequin made out of concrete. It was really weird. She had weird arms.
I'll send you a picture and you could put it up here.
There you go. So yeah, we got that. I don't remember what we paid for it. $5?
$5.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
Because they didn't really know what it was.
Nope.
So that one sold, oh my gosh, at full price for $289.99.
Yep. So that was a good sale. We'll take that every day.
Oh, high five.
Did I say it right?
You got it right.
Nice. All right. What's sold next?
We sold a clock. These are my favorite to pick up. I like picking them up. They don't go for a whole lot, but I like they're consistently
No,
sales.
they're not great, but old vintage clocks sometimes do well.
They
What
do.
did that one
This
sell?
is a Westclox Westclox Baby Ben style 8 black luminous face wind-up clock. And it's over $24.99.
Is it parts only or does it
No,
work?
it works.
It works.
It works.
Nice.
If you turn it on, it'll tick, 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 tick.
So I think the first thing about knowing that your sales are going to be predictable at the 90-day mark, and it's not like every 2 weeks you get the same paycheck, you have to rethink how you manage your money a little bit. So sometimes you might have a $5,000 week, and sometimes you might have a $500 week.
Yep.
So knowing, like what we do, I guess, and it might not work for everybody, but what we do is we know that each week we have a set paycheck. And that's based off what our average 90-day is. So if our average 90 days says we're making $300 a day, we know what we should take home. And we give ourselves that paycheck. Now, if we fall short of that, we should have some capital to draw on. So it takes a while to build to that point, because when you have the $5,000 week, I think that the point is when you have the $5,000 week, don't go spend $5,000.
No.
No, spend what your average daily should be, have that as your paycheck, and then keep the rest back for the times when you have the $500 week. You really have to change how you manage your money. You have to plan for the slow weeks.
You do, because if you don't and you go blow $4,000 of your $5,000 and next week comes and you get your $500 week,
You're not getting a paycheck.
you're not getting a paycheck and you may not be paying your bills.
Yeah. So really figuring out, if you're going to do eBay full time, you really have to figure out how to manage your money through the ups and downs. That's a big part of it. Like knowing that you're going to have the good weeks, the roller coaster, knowing that you're going to have the good weeks and the bad weeks, so that you set yourself. And like I said, the way we do it is base it on our 90 day, and we've had enough history. We know what our 90 day is, and it's consistently there. Divide that by 90. We know what our paycheck should be. All right, so this is a short section, but an important one. You really do have to figure out how to manage your money correctly.
Yes, unless you're making buku, 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 buku bucks.
Yeah, unless you just got baller money coming in from somewhere else. We don't have that.
Baller money. And I ain't got hooker money either.
We're not
Stripper
buying
money.
We're not buying caviar at the Eckert Ranch
Ew.
over here.
We wouldn't buy that anyway.
Well, we might use it for fishing or something. I don't know. What else
Could you
can
imagine
use caviar?
taking those little eggs off there and trying to stick it on a fishing hook?
We've
No.
sold caviar, the face mask stuff.
Yeah, we did. And it sold for pretty good money. So somebody had baller money.
Somebody did. All right, so what do we got next that's sold?
We sold some hinges. I was so surprised when this came through. This was a proxy bid lot that I had gotten, I think. Don't quote me on it, because I can't remember if it was proxy
We've
bid
picked
or
these
if
up
it was.
before. It's hard to say. They're like cabinet hinges. They're just the old cabinet hinges.
They are. I wonder if I can get.
Do you know how many of these things we've probably thrown away in our life? So, yeah, it's hard to see. There's a whole bag of them.
Hopefully you can see that. But yeah, they're basic, hidden, semi-concealed. So they're not fully concealed because you still have the little hinge on the side that you can see. But they're just hinges. And we sold all 7 packs. I think there's 4 in a pack. We sold all 7 packs for $69.93.
Yeah. So those old hinges and drawer pulls and knobs and stuff, we've done pretty good with the vintage ones. They usually go good. We just sold doorknobs. We gotta.
No, we didn't.
Oh, they canceled on us. We have sold some doorknobs.
We did. I got so excited because somebody came through last night at like 12 o'clock and they ordered all 3 remaining brass door handles that I had with they had the backer plate and everything in them. And then like 15 minutes later, they canceled. Corey was already sleeping by that time. So I woke him up and told him, oh my God, they canceled.
She didn't intentionally wake me up. She just huffed really loud, and I heard it and woke up because she's like, ugh. And I'm like,
I was
what?
so annoyed because that was like that was a $150 sale. And not only that, it was going international.
International, yep.
So
all right, what do you got next?
we're just in the habit of door things today.
We're selling hardware.
And jewelry. We sold a lot of jewelry and we sold door handle
We
or
did.
doorknob. This is a Whitehall product, Scottish Terrier Scotty metal gold tone door knocker.
Yep, like a welcome door knocker thing here. The little knocker thing's behind, but that's what it is. And that's sold for how much?
$58.90. I had to look that one up on WorthPoint because there were none currently listed, and the only one that had sold where the gold, mine's all gold, they had black in the recessed parts.
All right, so now we know when it's predictable and what to base it on. We know you have to manage your money to get through the highs and lows. So how do you actually get to the consistency of having a steady paycheck? Like, what's the first step of that?
How did we do it?
How do you do it? Well, how do we do it?
How do we recommend people do it?
We don't even recommend. Do what you want. This is how we do it.
Yes. So we went back and figured out how much we wanted to make a day.
Yep.
How much do we need to sell in a day to make our paycheck?
I guess probably the best place to start this is forget about the algorithm. Forget about what you're hearing on YouTube. Forget about listing 10 a day, 5 a day. Forget about listing just to list to make the algorithm happy and the consistency of it. Forget all that and base it strictly on reality. Money. Reality.
Money.
Like, if you need to make $200 a day, the first part of that everybody has to understand is you can't make $200 a day reliably and consistently if you're not listing at least $200 a day consistently and reliably, because it's backwards if you don't. If you want to sell $200 a day and you're listing $100 a day, you'll run out of product.
You'll run out of product. And I don't know how to say it best without sounding whatever, but even though you're listing $200 a day, you have to be listing $200 a day in stuff that actually sells.
Yeah, and I think that goes without saying. I think even if you're trying to list $200 a day of really good stuff, and you're trying to get that $200 a day paycheck, you do have to kind of pad that a little, because inevitably some of that stuff, even if it looks like good stuff, is not going to sell. Some of that stuff is going to be returns. Some of that stuff is going to end up broken or damaged, and you're going to lose out on it. So you have to pad that. If you want to make $200 a day, you have to list $200 a day, but then also pad that by 25, 30% in order to get to your real number of 200. So in this example, if I wanted to get $200 a day coming back into us on average at our 90-day point, I would probably list about 260, 270, somewhere in there every single day, just to pad it to account for breakage and things not selling and returns and whatever.
Returns have been horrible lately. That's a whole nother subject, but returns have been horrible lately.
They're going to happen.
Oh, they do. I just,
There's also something else you have to really keep in the back of your mind. Even though, let's just say we list $200 a day, we want to get $200 a day.
You're not taking home $200 a day.
You're not. That's not your net. That's your sales. Now, our net, we know because we have a history, our net is about 50% of whatever our 90-day is. So that includes our cost of goods coming out, our eBay fees coming out, our promoted fees coming out, anything like that. So we net about 50% of what our 90-day is. And some people do better, some people do worse. If you're buying $1 things and selling them for 10, your net will probably be a higher percentage. If you're buying $50 things and flipping them for 100, your net percentage will be lower.
And
it's
ours,
just the way it works.
And right now ours is, we're trying to push it
towards the higher end.
Towards the higher, like that one item was $5 and we sold it for $285. That's way more than a 50% profit. But
it averages out.
The other things that we sold, we could be paying $50 for it and selling it for $125, which means you're still not making, you're making roughly that 50% based on your cost of goods.
I think, like I said, I think 50 is low for some people and it's high for some people, but I think it's a good, safe baseline average. If you figure if you did $100 in sales, you're going to get to keep 50 of it based on your cost of goods, your fees, and your promotions. That's a good, safe number if you don't have a history. If you have a history, you should know your number, and if you don't, you can easily go look it up and just see what your net is.
Know your number. That just reminds me of everything they say about healthcare or whatever. They're always like, you should know your numbers.
Well, in business especially, know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, then you're just, you have a hobby. Like it's
there
not a business.
are a lot of hobby sellers, but we're not talking about the hobby sellers. We're talking about the ones who
want a steady paycheck.
Yes.
Yeah. So 50%, that's a good safe baseline if you don't have one already, just so you kind of understand. So if you need to make your $200 a day on average, then you would have to sell $400 a day.
If you want to take home, you're saying if you want to take home $200 a day, then you need to list and sell $400 a day.
And that's an important distinction, what you sell versus what you actually take home. That's a very important distinction if you're trying to build a steady paycheck. So know that if your number is 200 that you want to take home, you really need to be selling about 400 a day, which means you probably should be listing about 500 a day. You know, maybe even a little more. You want to pad that.
Sorry, you're like, you looked over here and you're giving me like the big eyes. I tried not to laugh.
What?
I'm sorry.
My eyes are just big. I wasn't.
It's the way you looked over here when you said that stuff, and I'm like, oh. You'll have to go back and watch the video.
I was just trying to drill the point home. Like, that's what you got to do. Yeah, slacker. No, we've been doing really good the last month or so, listing really good stuff. So.
You know, and not only on that, you know, we have been, I will say there for the longest time, we were at a little over 4,400 products in our store with doing our dollar auction to get rid of stuff. And I will tell you, when we go to list it, it's not like we're not listing just the junk we don't sell on eBay. We're not.
No.
Because we just sold a belt buckle that sells for, I think it was the tag on the back said $199, and we sold it for $73 on the dollar auction.
And we were happy to have the shelf space back. We didn't pay anywhere near $70 for the belt buckle, so we were good with it.
I mean, we made almost $300, so that's an additional $300
in an hour, yeah.
On top of what eBay says, you know, what we're selling on eBay.
Yep.
But we're only at a little over 4,300 now, so we've already dropped 100, and we've been listing new products.
Yep, and I think one of the biggest objections when we tell somebody list $500 a day, every single day, 365 days a year, the biggest objection we've heard is, I can't source that much. I can't get that much stuff. I can't list that much stuff in a day. And we'll talk about how we do that next, because it's not as hard as you think. Like, it sounds like a big number, it sounds like a lot, but it's easier to get there than you think, and we'll talk about that next.
We will.
What actually sold next?
We sold a blanket. We sold a U.S. Army military-issued wool olive green blanket that is brand new, in the package, never been used.
You remember these?
And I hate those blankets. They're
remember
itchy,
these.
scratchy.
Yep. Like curling up with a woolly mammoth.
But it's like 66 inches by 84 inches.
Yep.
So like 7, 8, not quite 8 feet.
It's a good full-size bed blanket. And yes, they are itchy wool blankets. I remember sleeping under these.
I hate those things.
What'd that sell for?
$54.99.
All right. Well, we can write a letter to them and tell them to make them less itchy, because next we sold a pen.
This is a repeat.
It's a repeat.
We've already sold it and got it back. The last person said it didn't fit their hand properly.
It's a fountain pen.
It is a fountain. It didn't fit their hand properly.
It's a pen. What do they got? Monkey hands?
They have big hands, and it was too little for their hand, I think was what it was.
I have big hands.
Anyways, it is a Wahl, W-A-H-L, Oxford, reddish pink marbled fountain pen. I think that's the one. Is that the one that has the gold tip?
Yep.
Like, it's gold colored, but does it? I think it's 14K gold. The tip is 14K gold.
All right. So yeah, that's the pin, and that sold for how much?
$42.
All right. So getting there. Our goal, and we've been pretty public about it, our goal is we list 500 a day.
Yep.
Because we want 500 a day in sales on average at our 90-day every single day.
Yep.
That's our personal goal. And in order to get there, we really had to create some balance between the sourcing and the listing. You can't. It's very easy to get caught up in, I need to buy all the time because I have to list 500 a day. That's a bad mindset to go into it, and it'll get you in trouble really quick.
It does. It does. I can vouch for that. But yeah, so the biggest thing with sourcing and balancing, which we have been doing a lot lately, because we've been sourcing a lot, because we're looking for higher dollar amount items.
We have seasons. So we have to know our seasons when we can source a lot and when we can't.
Yep. So, but yeah, so sourcing higher ticket items. The big thing for me is when we're outsourcing, I don't have time to list.
Nope. And if you're sourcing a lot all the time, when you get home, you don't feel like listing. So you really have to cut out time for sourcing and for listing, and you have to make a balance there. And I think the biggest thing is it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Like when we first started, we didn't have enough inventory to list $500 a day. And we couldn't source all day, every day to get that inventory, or we wouldn't have been listing 500 a day.
Correct.
So we had to go into it a little bit slow to build it up to that point. And it got to a point where we had $600 worth of inventory laying on the floor. We could list all 600 of it, but put 500, release 500 of it, keep $100 worth of it in draft.
Yep.
And then the next time we went sourcing, we would do the same. And eventually, when we go to list the next day, you list the oldest thing in your draft bank first, and then any new stuff you need. Eventually, your draft bank builds up.
Yes, it
And
does.
we, on average, have about 150 items in the draft bank almost all the time.
Give or take, over the last few months, like during the end of winter,
Yep.
I was lucky to have 15 to 20 in there.
And to us, it is nice to have a draft bank so that when you need the slow days, you can take a day off, or if you're not feeling good. But to us, it's less that. It's more like building capital for a business for us. What we're doing is building our paycheck for the future weeks. So when we list $500 out of the draft bank, and then we're listing stuff that's coming in the door and putting them into draft, we're constantly releasing the older items.
So what do you say to people who say if you're not listing it, you're not selling it?
I don't really say it. I mean, they're entitled to
Because there
that
are a
view.
lot of people who say
And
they
they're
don't
not
use the
wrong.
draft bank because if you're not listing it, you're not selling it.
They're not wrong, but we're not trying to build a fast dash of 2,000 in sales. We're trying to build a stable, steady, predictable paycheck. And in order to do that, you have to have a steady, stable, predictable listing.
Yep.
So they're not wrong. That is a valid point of view. If I list $2,000 worth of stuff today, tomorrow's going to be better than if I list 500 today.
Yep.
Absolutely. But
What happens in
At
2
the
days
end of-
when you don't have anything
Right.
to list, and now you're like, oh my gosh, I need money.
right. So we're doing this as a job. So we need a little bit of a steady paycheck.
It's not a job. It's our career.
It's a career.
It's our career.
Well,
we have a career in reselling.
Even in a career, you have a fairly predictable paycheck.
I realize that, but it sounds better when you say I have a reselling career.
It's our passion.
It's our passion. It kind of is.
It is. We do enjoy doing it.
I do it like I'll sit down on the couch and lately Corey's just been giving me the evil eye. I picked up a box of Magic the Gathering cards.
They're not worth anything. It's just something fun. I mean, they're worth a few dollars a piece. And
Yeah,
we'll
they're worth
probably
like
end up-
99 cents to $5 a piece for a majority of them,
Yep.
which is not something we're going to list. But I went through them all
Probably
just
sell
in
them on the
case.
dollar auction as bulk lots.
Yeah, just in case I went through them all because sometimes there's a holy grail in there. I didn't find a holy grail, but I found a single card that will pay for my whole box.
Yep. So anyway, back on track. You do have to build a little bit of balance. You have to source enough, you have to list enough. And once you figure out that balance and start building the draft bank, it builds up over time. And it's not an overnight thing. So don't get frustrated if you're saying, okay, I'm going to do this and I want $500 a day, and you can't do that. You can't keep up because you don't have the inventory, or you can't
build it
source
slowly.
enough. You do build it slowly. It takes 3, 4, 5 months. I think it took us about that long to get from where we said, okay, let's do this, to actually making it reality. It took us a while to build that. So it's not an overnight thing. It's something you got to build. So don't get down on yourself if you can't start at the finish line.
And on the same thing of using the draft bank, if you're using the draft bank and you do it consistently and you want to put them, you don't want to go in every single day and list them, you can also schedule them so that, you can drop your oldest 5 and you can schedule them so they don't all drop at once. You can schedule them so they drop throughout the day. You can do whatever if you
However
decide
you
to
want.
schedule them. But we have used that. I think for me, it's do I say a control issue?
Oh, you could say it's a control issue.
Because I like seeing those emails. We get the emails when I list something, and I like seeing those emails come in saying, hey, look what I listed today. With scheduling it, you don't get those emails.
Yep.
They just automatically drop, and that's it.
If I give you one key through this whole video, is the paycheck being steady and predictable possible? Yes, it is. Does it happen overnight? No, it doesn't. And I think the key takeaway is stop thinking about eBay as the algorithm. Quit trying to game the algorithm and do what everybody's telling you eBay wants from you. Don't worry about that. What do you want from eBay? If you want $200 a day, you have to give it $200 a day. Actually, and then pad that to account for your losses and the things that don't sell, because no matter how good you are at picking, some things just don't sell right away. Or
No,
some things just don't sell at all. It happens. Things get broke. So put into it what you want back, and you can build it strategically to where you're building that steady paycheck. And then manage your money accordingly, knowing that it's not steady at every single day increment. It's steady. The most stability we've seen is at the 90-day mark. So we base everything we're doing based on the 90-day, and we manage our money accordingly.
And that is hard for a lot of people to do.
That is very difficult to do. It is very difficult when you have a really great day on eBay not to go celebrate that and use a little extra money than you would have normally. You have to be pretty disciplined to do it. And you won't do it 100% of the time. Sometimes you'll mess up. But at least if you know where the goalpost is, it's a lot easier to get there. So I think that's the message for the video is...
Are you making sports references?
I think I did. The goalpost is a sport, right?
It is. It's a football. Right?
So in baseball, if you need to get to the goalpost, you use the tennis racket to get the ball, right, into the hockey net.
Yeah.
I think that's right. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
All right, what sold next?
We sold some shoes. I have been dying to sell these. I only, out of my 30, I think I had 27 pairs that we bought last summer. I think I only have like 8 or 9 of them that are actually, about 8 of them left that are actually from that lot.
These are kind of a small size, aren't they? Well, they're Merrell boots.
Merrell. I don't know how to say it. They're
Vibrant bottoms.
Merrell. Ontario mid waterproof hiking boots, dark earth brown.
Are those women's boots? They're kind
No,
of
they're
dainty.
men's. They're a size 9 in men's.
Okay. So they are a little bit small, but not terrible.
But I took an offer on those. And we sold them for $65.
I was there. Sweet. Well, I thought those said Ringo. That's what it is. It's like a wedding set, right?
It is. It is a square princess cut cubic zirconia 925 silver bridal wedding set size 7. Yeah. That is out of our ring buy, and I'm still selling the crap out of those.
We'll still be selling them forever.
I have another one over there that I think came out of that too.
What'd that sell for?
$39.99 plus shipping.
All right, I think that's it for today. We got a bunch of packing to do, and you guys let us know how you build a predictable, steady paycheck on eBay. This is the best way we figured out to do it. It works for us. It's certainly not the only way. It's just the way we found that works for us, and it's been consistent and steady for 3 years.
Yep. How do you look at the week to week to gauge your stuff, and does it bring you down?
It would bring me down. It would bring me down.
Yeah. I know, like I said, I hear a lot of people that are within a group or in the reseller community as a whole say, oh my God, my sales sucked this week. And then next week they're like, oh my God, my sales were great. Yep. So.
And we have had those. I mean, we just put out a video like a month ago that said it's our worst eBay sales month ever or something like that. And it was. The difference is behind the scenes, we have known within a percentage point pretty much for the last 3 years exactly to the dollar what our paycheck is going to be from eBay for 3 years straight. And it doesn't really vary. So even when we have a bad month, yes, it's still, you still feel it. You're still like, come on, eBay.
You feel it in your heart.
But we still get the same paycheck regardless because we had money from the previous month that was a good month, and we'll have a good month next month. So we've kind of planned this out, and the way we look at it and the way we do it, our paycheck doesn't change more than a percentage or so every single 90 days. Yep. I mean, it's stayed really consistent through the years.
Yep.
So that's how we do it. Let us know how you do it and tell us if we've mismathed anything, because we do often, but we know what our paycheck is. We're not mismathing that. So I think that's it.
That's it.
We'll see you next time.
Hasta la vista, baby.